Okay, welcome back. This is going to be a sort of special video. Well, I guess not. I've done lore videos before. This is a lore video, not a tour. While I was doing the Felwithe video, I mentioned that I don't really know how the Thex family of Neriak is connected to the Thex family of Felwithe. Well, now I do, sort of. I looked it up. Yeah. It's kind of a mess because, again, contradictory lore sources. There are multiple sources of lore for EQ2, not the least of which is EQ1. Then there's EQ2 itself, but as I've mentioned before, even the lore within EQ2 can contradict itself. You can get 3 or 4 different versions of some historical event, and it's like, okay, what really happened? Well, I don't know. In this case, there's also a tabletop EQ game, apparently. I've never heard of it, but yeah, someone mentioned it. This is what I was able to get out of it. Again, there was some contradictory information, but most of it was revolving around the names of the actors involved. In a nutshell, the Thex family originates with the High Elves. I'm a little shaky on the names because, as I mentioned, they kind of contradicted, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was Tyrus or Thyris was the king of Felwithe. He's the guy that, fell in battle, but no, he was actually assassinated after the battle, but no, he was actually assassinated when they marched out to meet the forces of Neriak, etc., etc. Remember that king? Well, anyways, apparently he didn't get assassinated. He actually met the king of Neriak in battle, and they killed each other. But more on that in a minute. First, some Pepsi. Also, as a little side note, I finally got a new headset. Found one yesterday, and I was like, hey, it's just a little cheapy headset, but it was light years beyond my last one, and hopefully it works out okay. I've tested the headphones. They work amazingly well. I've tested the microphone, and it seems to be pretty clear, so hopefully nothing goes wrong with this video. Anyhow, so as I said, Thex originates in Felwithe with the royal family. However, at some point in the past, Neriak, the god of hate, kidnapped Kristanos and Nathnox. I think that's how you'd say his name. It's Naythnox. Nathnox. That's what I'm going with. Nathnox. Or maybe Nathnox? Whatever. Anyhow, they were, I guess, I'm not sure what their exact relationship was, but let's just call them cousins of the royal line. But they were a part of the Thex family. They just weren't the leaders. They were kidnapped by Neriak, god of hate, who then tortured them and did all that great stuff in the plane of hate and actually corrupted them into the dark elves that we know today, the Tyrdahl. So they are actual members of the Thex family. But then the Thexians come into the mix. What are the Thexians? Okay, so basically, I'm just going to boil it down because I don't know all the details. I'm not 100% confident in the sources, and as far as I know, the game doesn't tell us this, so I can't really use that as my source. But from what I understand, Kristanos and Nathnox, as I said, they were corrupted by Neriak, and he set them down to be the rulers of Neriak. It should be noted that they hate each other, but they couldn't move against each other because Neriak was telling them, no, you two are going to rule jointly. That's final. Okay, everything's great. The War of the Fae happens. Neriak marches on Felwithe. Okay, everything's cool and stuff, and Kristanos just kind of, sort of, maybe forgot to send reinforcements. So the forces that went against Felwithe weren't sufficient to take it. All right, now remember, there's some contradictions going on here. We don't really know exactly what happened, but it's pretty apparent that even if they did manage to take the city, they lost it fairly quickly and didn't do any lasting damage because, well, we've been there, we've seen the city. And for the most part, Feydark escaped the effects of the shattering, so hooray. So Felwithe was mostly untouched, apart from, having the little falling out with Neriak. Both kings met in battle, died in the same battle. Theris's daughter Linya took the throne, the Princess Queen. I mentioned her once. She was able to kick some serious Neriak butt, throw them out of the city, retake it, rebuild it. Everything's great. Yay, go Linnea. In the meantime, sorry, oh, my leg itches. Cristiano saw her chance, and so she sent her assassins against, I think his name was Talvis, her son with Nathnox. She wanted to seize power for herself. As you saw in the Neriak video, she's kind of setting herself up as a rival to Inaruk. Well, her son escaped and retreated to Freeport. Those who believed in his claim to the throne over hers became the Thexians. So the Thexians are a faction who support the Prince of Neriak over his mother. The Thex line is the royal family of Felwithe, and the other Thex, well, they're the corrupted offshoot of that royal family. So yeah, that's basically the Thex lore in a nutshell, more or less. Like I said, contradictory lore sources, and I don't feel qualified to sort through it all because I didn't play EQ1, I didn't read the text dialogue and all that stuff, so whatever. But yeah, so you got the original Thexians were the royal family, and then there was the corrupted offshoot, which became the Dark Elves. And then you have the Thexians, who are the ones who support the Prince of the Dark Elves over his mother, since his mother is basically trying to usurp the throne and going against the wishes of Inaruk. So yeah, this kind of ties in, not completely, but since it's Felwithe related, I'll mention it. The reason Mistmoore is so prevalent in Felwithe is after all that crap went down with the War of the Fae and stuff, he stepped in and started whispering in the ears of various members of the Royal Council, saying that the reason that Felwithe, fell and that Tunar left and all that great stuff is because the elves were tainted and impure. Now, most of the High Elves believed him, but Linnea did not believe him and told him to fuck off. So he moved against her and captured her, and her brother, what is her brother's name? Marcus? I think it's Marcus Thex. He went on a crusade to rescue her, and that's why they're being ruled by a council and not by her personally, because she's not there and her brother's not there. So yeah, Mistmoore basically has free reign in the city. He has been trying to convert her with, well, what the hell, I'll just tell you. He converted her to a vampire, and while she embraced it, she also still is against him and doesn't want him to have control over Felwithe, so she won't return to Felwithe. In fact, when you attempt to rescue her, she basically tells you, no, I'm not going back. I can't go back. I'm a vampire, blah, blah, blah. I can't let Mistmoore have control, blah, 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 blah. Oh, let the steward know. Remember the steward I mentioned? There was a quest to go talk to the steward? Yeah, that's why you had to talk to the steward. She wanted you to go tell him, I can't come back. Marcus also, unfortunately, fell to the vampires and became a vampire himself. But he's also one of the cooler boss fights in the game, so yay. Totally a Castlevania fight. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, that's where Mistmoore comes in. He wanted to get closer to Elizaraine. She was one of the previous queens of Felwithe. I'm not sure which one, because I mentioned those names don't really agree, and people are arguing over who was the queen at which point, and blah, blah, blah. Firiona also ties into it. I guess she's a bastard child of the Thex line, so while she is the rightful heir right now, because there's no one else to take the throne, she doesn't want to take it because she's playing a more active role with the fate of Norath. But back to Mistmoore, he wanted to get his hands on Elizarain's prophecies. She was a seer, or a seeress, and had some prophecies about the end of ages, or as it's otherwise known, the Ages End prophecy. She shared that information with Trakenon of the Ring of Scale, and yeah, she's dead now. I don't know what killed her. I don't know if she died of grief or if she was murdered, assassinated, she fell off a cliff, she was reading a book and got a really bad paper cut, and turns out she's a hyperphiliac or something like that. I don't know. She's dead. But her prophecy lives on, and it's the key to, well, part of the key to saving existence as we know it. So yeah, so everything's related. But yeah, oh, one last thing. This character hasn't actually advanced the quest far enough, so if you go to the memorial over here, remember Furiona Vi's memorial? Yeah. You'll get a different experience. Look at all these mourning pilgrims. Why is everyone in mourning? Let's go. Oh. Oh. That's why everyone's in mourning. Yeah, there's a reason I called this a memorial. As the plot advances, things happen. Some of my characters have advanced the plot further than others, so some of my characters can go here and pay respects to our beloved princess. Others will come here and be like, hey, what's up, princess? And she'll be like, hey, thanks for helping me out. So, yeah, there you go. But anyways, like I said, this has been a little lore video. Have no idea what the next tour is going to be. I do these things just on a whim. You know, something hits me, I get inspired, and I'm like, let's do it. Or other times I'll just be like, blah. I don't know what to do. So, who knows? Yeah, I guess that's everything there is to say. So now you know about as much as I do with the, about the Thexians and the various royal families. Oh, there's one more thing. Again, with Mistmoore, the reason so many vampires tend to speak Thexian is because they were in fact dark elves before they were converted to vampires. So that's kind of interesting. I might do a lore video about Mayong, but I know there's quite a bit about him. Although EQ2 wise, not so much. He's some shadowy figure. They don't really tell us too much about him. They kind of bare bones it. But anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next video, so thanks for watching. Peace out.